You were bad at that.
I'm bad at it because the last time I tried it, well, not the last time, but one of the times I tried it, I got beer on your computer. So you should be happy that I'm bad at it.
No, but like you were good at it that day.
I was good
opening it. You weren't good at
what I'm
holding
saying
it
is
far
that
away.
I'm bad at it because now I'm paranoid about getting your computer wet.
Yes, well, I'm glad that you didn't do that, but you did a shitty job of opening your beverage.
I do a shitty job of getting most things and people wet. Is just wait, did I? Can we go back? I don't want to say that out loud.
From Clarkwoods.com,
this is horribly off topic.
Episode 67.
Yes, and he's Steve.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Chris. And we're drinking before noon, or well,
I technically was by like about 5 minutes.
All right,
because
and
I
now
opened mine before.
And now I'm drinking 2 minutes after noon.
Yeah, so he's not doing a Sunday drink fest.
I also apparently am bad at Sunday drink fests.
Yes.
Is there anything else I'm bad at that you would like to tell me about right before we get started with the show?
Podcast? No. I'm kidding.
Aww.
I'm kidding.
I saw a tweet this week, and I wanted to.
And it was like, why does your guys' show suck so much?
No, I wanted to punch the person, except I think it was Matt Oswald. And maybe it wasn't. It was somebody being snarky, saying that yes, starting a podcast is a great idea if you want to give your friends homework.
That's basically what we've done, because like most of our fans are either people that I've encountered that like have decided, yeah, sure, I'll check that out and have stuck with it, or like friends of mine that are just really into the show.
I do have to wonder at what point will somebody that I work with decide, or somebody that I've taught decide to start listening to the show.
Because they're aware, right?
They are aware of my Twitter feed. They're aware of my Facebook feed. The people I work with, not my Facebook feed so much, but my Twitter feed is out there. And so I think it's only a matter of time before one of them is like, I wonder what these podcasts are like. And every episode I think, is this the episode that they're going to tune into?
But the thing is, like, do kids brown nose anymore? Because apparently not.
No, my students do not. I mean, they praise me as a teacher.
Well, praise you as a podcaster, for Christ's sake.
But they don't necessarily ever praise me as a writer.
They don't do their homework.
Yes.
And figure out that maybe if we listen to the podcast, you might look more favorably.
Like, which class could I require them to listen to the podcast for? I'm trying to think about that.
We'd have to actually talk about something significant to what you were freaking
Yeah, well, I mean, so I teach fiction. Ooh.
That was a good one.
That was good. Yeah. I teach fiction. I teach freshman writing, and I teach a course on internships and therefore entering into the workplace for creative people, for people in the humanities. So I guess maybe I could say, hey, all of you who are like looking for a job after this class in that humanities course, you should look into podcasting, because this is where the money's at.
What? See, we're gonna do a little inside baseball, right?
Inside the baseball.
What? You want me to get way too excited when I say something.
I know we're gonna get a little inside. I need a jingle for everything. I need a little.
Should I open maybe at episode 100 I'll open that bottle of scotch.
I don't know. We gotta have some. You gotta have some special guests for that. I don't feel like. I mean, you could just have a couple of people, but I feel like that's the sort of thing. You get a nice bottle of scotch and you just have a whole bunch.
I don't want you guys to drink all my fucking scotch.
Okay, so you can just crack it open and we get like this tiny thimbleful. You're like
no, I'm saying we each get a small glass full.
Or are you gonna do the not George Widmore? What the hell is his name? Mr. Widmore from Lost, who pours it into the glass and shows it to Desmond and then says, that this single swallow is worth more than you could make in a month. And
I thought like
to waste it on you would be a disgrace to the man who made it.
All right, so like what I noticed in that scene, I thought what he poured was a glass of Cutty Sark, which is not necessarily a good liquor.
No, he pours a glass of a 60-year McCutcheon, I think is.
Oh, it was the McCutcheon. Okay, but there was some Cutty Sark nearby.
There might have been, yeah.
And, I think Cutty Flam is a little bit better.
I'm trying not to kill the joke by saying anything.
It's not a joke.
Cutty Flam?
Yes.
Is Cutty Flam, like, what's Cutty Flam?
You're going to have to find out some other time.
All right.
But that reference was because it's not a booze. It is a reason to drink.
It is a reason to drink. And here we go.
Great Foley artist.
So did we eventually get inside baseball?
Oh yeah, I want what we need to do is
I think it would hurt to get inside of baseball. I mean, I think of football, maybe a basketball, maybe, but to get inside of baseball, I mean, unless you really have a pencil dick, like just to get inside of baseball would not be comfortable.
You have no idea when you started on that train of thought how badly I rolled my eyes. Those of you out there,
I do.
Well,
they don't.
Well, those of you out there, I'm like, you need to stop. I was hoping you would with the eye roll, but you didn't.
No,
that's good though. But
I'm immune to eye rolls.
What we need to do is
teach college students.
We need to do a live podcast. We need to
a live show.
We need to do it more than once. We need to try to do because like the way we need to get people to be aware
is to do live shows.
Is do a live show, and even if no one shows up for the first couple of them, like we need just to do it, and then like people will be like, oh, this podcast, and just make a flyer that says we're awesome or something.
That one didn't seem so good.
No, it wasn't. We just make a flyer that says we're awesome, and then people will actually think that we are, and then maybe they'll show up and listen, and then snowballs into listeners.
Yeah, well, where's the venue for this?
I don't know. We need to. That's more inside.
That is more.
Want to talk about
very inside the baseball.
Yes,
like
with
inside,
your pencil dick.
Inside the devil inside Mrs. Jones or Miss Jones, right? Isn't it the devil? Isn't it Miss Jones?
That was that was one of the pornos my dad had. I remember. Okay.
I think my dad had it too, but I'm not sure.
When Peggy was away, I was sort of like, I was on a tear trying to look for
the classic porn,
the classic porn that like my dad had. Like I was looking online for it.
That's a good adventure.
Yeah, and I hit so many like there was this one, and I think it was the first one I ever like jerked off to.
Yeah,
ever in my life.
Oh.
And it was called, what the hell was it? Revenge of the... No, it wasn't Revenge of the Babes. It was something... It might have been Revenge of the Babes.
Revenge of the Babes.
And it wasn't
Revenge Curse of the Queer Wolf.
No.
Actually, I've never seen that. I don't think it's a porno. I think it's a horror B movie.
It was. I think it was called Revenge of the Babes to The Babes Are Back or something like that.
Okay.
And it had this like really terrible like theme song.
What were the babes getting revenge for?
I don't know, but most of the at some point
for being sexualized and treated like objects.
Well, it starts off with this just woman taking a shower for a really long time, and then like these two guys are just sitting there jerking off to
her taking a shower.
But they're two separate scenes, so
okay.
But they're just like sitting next to each other jerking off, and I found this really odd. So I think I only watched that scene once
because the homoerotic tendencies going on there were a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm like even at that age, I think it was like 11 or something like that. I'm like.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm into dudes like stroking.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. So yeah,
I mean, somebody out there is.
Yeah,
somebody out there was like that. This is my scene.
Yeah, like I could just, I wish the girl showering wasn't
there. Yeah, I just want to see the two guys stroking.
Yeah. So then, like, there was a lesbian scene at the end. I think that was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves lesbians. I'm just saying. I think I've told the story before that. One of the...
Except for religious people, apparently.
Yeah. Really religious people don't like anybody.
Except for... Well, actually,
except for Jesus, who liked everybody.
Yes. We won't get into that today. But yeah, I could not find...
You could not find
the Revenge of the Babes 2, or whatever the hell it was called.
I don't know that I've gone down that particular rabbit hole. I know that the name of one of the first ones I ever saw was Getting Lucky. Or Getting Lucky. There was a G on there. Getting Lucky, I think, was the name of it. And I think it took place at a party, maybe, like a house party. And I want to say that like the last scene had Marilyn Chambers in it, maybe.
Wow.
That was like the connection to some of the other stuff. And I think the second one I ever watched was Insatiable 2 with Marilyn Chambers. So maybe my dad had a thing for Marilyn Chambers thing.
I'm gonna have to look her up. Maybe not on my phone.
Marilyn Chambers. She was the one who was on the box of like the Downy, like the
Downy.
No, like like a detergent box. Like she had been a traditional model. That was the thing with Marilyn Chambers.
I thought Downy had like Down syndrome kids on it.
No.
Very PC.
Very PC of you to
say Down syndrome and not say
yes,
slow kids again.
My boss. I'm not gonna get my former boss had a son with Downs.
I have family that has Down syndrome.
And when it's one of those things,
or a family member, not like an entire part of my family.
It's
has
one
Down
of those
syndrome.
things that like Tom Brady does a. Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to talk about Tom Brady yet.
Yeah, we'll wait till
save
the
that
end
for the end of the show. But
Tom Brady has Down syndrome.
No, but he has a charity.
Just such an amazing hair for somebody with an extra chromosome.
If that wasn't so wrong, that would be. Oh, what an episode title that would be.
Oh, did I just break you? Just like people break the internet?
All right, so Tom Brady has, I think it's called the Buddies Challenge or Best Buddies Challenge. So he has a charity bicycling ride.
Yeah, we had talked about it before.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that I've always thought about doing. And now that I have a bicycle, I think maybe I should. Because, I really like, that boss and I were very close. And that he had that son who had to go through, or is still going through, coping with Downs. I was just like, I'd like to,
can they take away that chromosome and then all of a sudden you become like a genius? Like that, what was that? The one where like we had the little mouse. What's his butt was it?
Michael Jackson?
No.
Ben?
Not little Ben or Ben.
Is it Ben? I think Ben was the name of his mouse.
No, Ben was the name of his bear.
Wasn't Ben the name of his? Didn't he have a mouse? He had a mouse who was a
don't
pet.
think
I remember
no,
from like
he had
that
a
TV
bear
movie
as a
with
pet.
Angela Bassett.
No, it was a bear.
He had
Gentle
a mouse
Ben.
too. He had a mouse.
It was Ben.
Okay.
I mean, it was a bear.
He had a mouse. I'm just saying.
Fuck you. No.
What were you asking me?
I don't know. What was I asking you?
Oh, you were asking about like if you got rid of the extra chromosome that gives you Down syndrome, would you be a genius?
Yes, like that guy in that movie. There was a made-for-TV movie.
It wasn't. Was it the same? guy played
Flowers for Algernon.
Oh, okay.
But it was also a book, right?
It was a book. Yes. I don't know.
Or was it a short story? I don't know.
That's it. That's a good question. It might have been.
Being a short story connoisseur yourself,
I should know, but
yeah, he like gets like some sort of like surgery and becomes like he takes some sort of medicine and becomes like a genius, but then like it's killing him.
Yeah, and then it starts to either he stops taking it or it starts to degrade, and then I think it's a novel. It's something longer because it starts off with him writing with the whatever challenge he's dealing with, and then as he starts taking whatever therapy it is, it gets a little bit better. His language becomes more standard, and then as it starts to fail on him, it goes back and he degrades as he starts to die.
Really?
Really? Where did that one come from? Just appeared here. Steve didn't leave the table while I ran. It's a good.
I ran fast this time.
It's a good thing sometimes that I can just go on and on.
That's why I was like, this is the opportunity for me.
Get him talking about a story.
Get him talking about Flowers for Algernon,
which I don't even.
I don't
remember
actually
all that
think
well.
like for those of you out there that think I'm a complete moron. I don't actually think that removing the extra chromosome from. I don't know how they would do that with like pliers.
I don't think
that would actually work.
That's the way it would work. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's
right. You had to think about it. Yeah. That probably won't work.
No, I was trying to find a different place to go with this conversation, and I don't think there's anywhere we can go.
We could just slam on the brakes and look at the list. What else we got here?
Well, I was gonna say like. I've never met that kid with the Downs.
I've met my aunt who has Down syndrome.
Yeah,
several times.
But I've always wanted to do that bike ride, and I've always wondered No, I was trying to make a damn transition about going to kids' birthday parties and whatnot.
Is that what we're starting with?
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. I was like, I've never been to that.
Yeah,
kid's
I went to a kid's
parties.
birthday party yesterday.
All right. Yeah.
And neither of them had Down syndrome.
All right. Congratulations to them.
Yes, there's the transition.
I guess.
That's the joke.
That's as such as it is.
So yeah, I mean, it was all right. Like they sort of like, because they understand that, you know, they have friends that have children.
Yeah.
And they have friends that don't have children, but they all, you know, would like to help celebrate because it was the, I don't know if they want me to mention names, so I won't.
Yeah.
It was the daughter's first birthday, and she's
Okay.
very adorable, and she was wearing a little fox dress, and she was just, you know, she's being really cute.
Yeah.
She wasn't, you know, she's not a baby that cries a lot, so it was cool, and then so there was a party earlier where there was baby having people or children having people.
Yeah.
I mean, we came for both of them because we were helping a couple of things, and we picked up some things.
Yeah. The look on your face
At the store for the party. So we came for both parts, but you know, the first half it was just like we were in
little
a
kids.
small little cluster away from little kids.
Yeah.
And then as kids started to go away, a fire was built, and then we sat around the fire and drank beers, like, you know,
like adults do,
yeah.
because that's what adults do, I guess.
But like closer to the end of the evening, like their older child is about 4.
Okay.
And getting him to go to bed was just like, I mean, I didn't have to experience it because that happened inside, and we were all, you know, dazed by flickering flames
And by liquor.
and by liquor as well. So we were just like, you know, snuggled up next to a fire, and then you know, inside, Becky's friend is trying to get her child to go to sleep, and I don't understand like at what point, because we were talking about it at the fire, and I'm like, I'm tired now. If I had the opportunity to go to bed right now, like if there was like a bed, like a guest room that we could just go in, I'd be like down for sleeping now. And I sort of dozed off on the drive home. I didn't drive.
I was gonna say, I hope you weren't driving.
No. But yeah, it was. I love sleeping now, and I suck at it because like once I'm awake,
I'm terrible at it myself.
When I'm great at getting to sleep, but like staying asleep, it's not as easy for me.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, you know, I'll be out like a light, and then I'll wake up at like 2:30 in the morning, and I'll have to pee, and I'll get up, and it'll take me like a good hour to get back to sleep, and I'll be up in a couple of hours anyways to go to work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh. And like today we actually slept until 7.
Ooh.
It's like, and
that's sleeping in.
Yeah, it is, because I normally get up at like 5. And that's when my body wants to get up, and this whole time change.
Yeah. Oh God, this week really fucked me up.
And it's like, but we're not in daylight savings times anymore.
Right. Yeah. Now
this is the time we're in regular time.
Yeah.
And it gets dark so damn early, and it gets light out too early.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we just always be in daylight savings time?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because like if it gets darker later, and the dawn happens early, or the dawn happens later as well.
Right.
Then, like, you know, on a Saturday or a Sunday when I want to sleep in a little bit, and we may or may not have had the darkening shades closed completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be able to catch an extra couple of Z's. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have friends who have way more educated opinions about it than I do. I hate the transition most of all, and I had a rough week for other reasons we won't get into because they're not boring.
Did you sit on some sandpaper?
Yes, and you know, every time I do it, I think it's gonna be a little bit more pleasant than the time before.
Bare bottom
sandpaper
sitting.
Sandpaper on my bare bottom. Yeah, like, I mean, I saw it in a porno that was in my dad's closet once. No.
That had a lot of porno. My dad had a couple, but like he had like 3 tapes. Your dad had way more than 3 tapes. He had it on Betamax, didn't he?
I don't remember the Betamax, but it's possible.
I think he had a beta. He definitely had a beta. Like
I
don't want to say VCR because that's not what it. Well,
yeah.
Well, is it a VCR? It is a VCR.
Yeah, it's a VCR because they are both VCRs, which is video cassette recorder.
But VHS was
was the video home system, and then Beta was the Beta whatever.
So yeah, it was a beta video
he did
VCR.
I don't know that I should be outing my dad for having a lot of porn, but
he definitely did.
He did.
And I think your brother the apple may have not fallen far from the tree. Or you, because you had a subscription to Playboy. So.
I had a whole hard drive of stuff back in the day when like Kazaa and like those sorts of things were the that's where you got all your movies, all your music, all your porn. Like I had a whole hard drive, and then as we were starting to have to get it back to the kids and getting them to sleep, and like as we were starting to have kids,
watch this porn.
No, like the issue became
you're like, no, I wouldn't have done that. Of course you wouldn't have done that.
But the issue became like as we were even starting to think about it, like yes, this stuff is all in a like folder within a folder of a hard drive, and still to this day my kids don't really know how to navigate a regular computer, but like there was always the chance that like that corner of my hard drive was going to be like the dresser drawer of my dad's, that like my kids were going to find the porn. But of course now the issue is unless your parental controls are just absolutely lock solid. What's the expression?
Rock solid
and rock stocking. Unless they're rock solid, the kids are. When the kids want to find the porn, they're going to find the porn on the internet. Like it's just going to happen.
Yeah, they're not going to need to look at what you have.
Right, and then of course there was a small transition period there where I didn't have any porn. I didn't have access to any porn because I deleted all the stuff that I had collected over the years on the hard drive, and I didn't know or I was too busy to navigate to the various sites on the internet. And then once the various sites on the internet became sort of so full of free stuff, your every variation on YouTube that includes the word porn or skin or red or whatever somewhere. Once those became, there's no need to have a big dresser drawer or section of your hard drive. But the apple didn't fall far from the tree there. I had way too much of it.
I think the last time I bought like any sort of actual physical pornographic material, I think was when I first moved to North Carolina.
So how long ago was that?
That was 2008.
Yeah. That's at least that far. I don't think
because I think I just bought I bought a DVD. Well, no, I bought a magazine that had a DVD in it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought anything since 2006 when my first kid was born. I think since then it would probably have just been seeking something out online if necessary. Yeah, I don't think I've bought anything. So it's been at least that long. But
like, what do you like? Do your girls not want to go to bed at night, or?
Yeah, I mean that's so.
Bringing it back to not porn for a second.
Not porn, yeah. No, they don't want to go to... Well, Melody's my younger daughter, and she will go to bed most nights without prompting when she gets tired. Like, she knows when she's tired. She might have her iPad and be watching a movie or watching a little clip on YouTube or something. But she will just get herself to sleep. But Kaylee... the older daughter, partially because she's gotten acclimated to it, needs a story. She needs to have her back rubbed. Like she's had it since she was a baby, and she's a creature of habit and cannot get to sleep without it, with rare exception. Okay. Melody, like if you read her a story, if you rub her back, great, but she'll go to sleep anyway.
Yeah,
and she also wakes up on her own at pretty much the same time all the time. And I really do think that's kind of classic second kid syndrome. Like they learn to fend for themselves way sooner than first children, which I am, or maybe I don't know about you. I don't know if you can speak to only children.
I'm only, so I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know. I don't think I got much of story reading or like coddling or
No, it takes a while for Kaylee to get to. Like last night, she was still goofing around on her iPad until like 9:15, and she like I was like, it's time to go to bed, and she's like, all right, are you gonna read me a story? It's like it could be like 10 o'clock on the week on like Friday or a Saturday, and she's still not ready to go to bed. And when I tell her it's time to go to bed, she still needs the story and the back rub. And like it doesn't even, it could be like a 30-second back or shoulder rub, and sometimes that's enough. And then sometimes I could rub her back for like 5 minutes, and she's still like when I get up to leave, she's like, it's aggravating. In that way that I can imagine it was aggravating for is it Becky's friend who's the mother, or
yes.
Okay, so Becky's friend who had to go in and get the kid to sleep. Like, when you have to do that, it's.
I told a story last night that I had completely forgotten about, and I think I used it in my stand up for a bit, and it's 100% true, which makes it better.
Okay, better.
So we're sitting around the fire, and people were talking about times where they got sick.
Okay.
And I was telling the story about it was when I was going to school out in North Adams, and I might have done this like on the
time that I saw you.
Yeah, because I had to fill a lot of time.
Yeah,
a lot more time than I was used to, because usually I get 5 minutes and get the hook.
Right.
But this time I had like in between 15 and 20 minutes, and because I was, but I was still opening. I think Sam did a little bit.
He did a little bit, but
then he brought me up first, so I wasn't necessarily because he was the host, so I was the opener, and
right.
Yeah. I forgot how the dynamic of stand up worked, so I was. We pre-gamed a lot, which for those of you who aren't into alcohol at all, that's when you drink before you go out and drink.
Right.
Now, in this particular instance, we pre-gamed a little bit too much, which basically turned into we drank a shit ton.
Yes.
And then decided to
This
go
is
out.
the time you got sick, not pre-gaming before the stand-up show.
Pre-gaming before the stand-up show. I never got sick on a stand-up show.
Okay, right. No, I wasn't following.
Because
I was drinking.
No. I'm talking back into. Oh, so we're back.
Now we're back in time.
We're back in time. We pre-gamed before going out.
Yeah.
And we're at the bar, and it was called the Brick House. There's actually one in the town that I live in now called the Brick House, but it's not as gross or as sketchy. And the Brick House in North Adams no longer exists.
Right.
Probably because they would let in 18-year-olds to drink.
No,
which is why
that can hurt.
Which is why it was always crowded.
Right.
And so we go there. I order a drink. I drink it all, and I've realized that the drink that I've just drunk was the one too many.
Oh.
Now, as I had mentioned earlier, there's lots of 18-year-olds in there. So basically there's a sea of people in between myself and the door, so getting outside is sort of out of the question.
Yeah.
And also the ladies' room was busted.
Oh, jeez.
So there was a really long line for the men's room, comprised of ladies.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So that was out of the question. So I was just like, and my option was I had an empty glass.
Oh, no.
In a small, really secluded area of the bar that no one was there.
Yep.
So I placed my bottom lip onto the glass.
Yep.
And I sort of did like a stealth puke. I puked into the glass.
Yep.
I filled it. And I felt better.
I'm afraid of where this story goes next.
But now I have a new problem.
You have a glass of puke.
I have a glass of vomit. I, again, can't go outside, can't really get into the men's room to dump it out. But there is a bar over there, which I walked backwards up to, and I placed on there, and then walked away.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, or not hopefully, depending on which kind of person you are, somebody drank it.
But you have no proof one way or the other.
No, because I think we left shortly after that.
Yeah. Well, because you'd had the one too many.
Yes. It's like, so let's get out of here before I actually have to puke again.
Before you have to puke again, yeah. The the question that arose in my mind while you were telling that story is, when you've got the busted ladies' room, and now you've got a co-ed line for the men's room. Like, how does that? Do the ladies take precedent, or like do
it was
the ladies?
A one stall.
Oh, so it was one stall. I was wondering.
There wasn't like a urinal, I don't think.
Okay.
Or if there was, yeah, I don't think there was. I think it was just the toilet.
Okay,
So yeah, it was just one person at a time, I guess.
I was like, what? That's one of those bar questions, or like just public place questions that I wonder about. Is like, if all that's left is the men's room, like, do the dudes just stick to the urinals, and like the ladies go past the dudes going to the urinals, and they go into the
I just really hope that I'm never at a sketchy, crappy bar and have to take a shit.
And you accidentally walk into two people, like somebody getting a blowjob.
No, that's not where I was going with that. I just don't want to have to poop. I don't like pooping in public anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Especially not in a
You're
place.
like Finch from American Pie in that way.
No, but like I'll build the little nest.
Okay.
And I'll try to.
Well, he did that when they pranked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, did you ever, like, in high school, like, run, because you lived relatively nearby, did you ever, like, run back to, you like, I cannot shit
no,
here?
I definitely shit at school.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
Like, not often.
Yeah.
You know, but I would. I'm a lot more regular now than I was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I usually am. I'll get up. I'll have my breakfast. I'll sit and play Treasure Cruise on the toilet until I poop, and then I will. With the Treasure Cruise, I'll take a shower and then go.
Yeah, with the Treasure Cruise thing this week, I just to see what would happen, because I know that you said you delete them. I wanted to try the Twitter style quote tweet function, just to like repost it and see what would happen when you deleted it. Would my quoted tweet then disappear, or
you haven't found one yet, have you? Dave got me the other day.
No. I saw one. I was there. And there was one this morning I saw, and I was like, oh, I guess Steve's up.
I guess Steve's taking a crap.
Well, I didn't go that far.
No, I
wasn't imagining you
right
on the toilet.
Here.
Okay.
I got pointed at the couch.
So, you mentioned that you were ready if there were a bed there at the party, you would just like crash.
And
that you did crash in the car.
Like I did crash in the car, and the moment we got home, I was pretty much out.
Were you always like that? Were you always an early to bed kind of guy?
No, like back in the day, like we would I used to work second shift.
Yeah.
So I'd get out of work either at 10 or at midnight. Mm-hmm. And your brother would get out at, like, he worked a different kind of second shift, and he would get out at 2 in the morning.
Okay, yeah.
So I would, like, get out of work.
Is this around, like, 1999, 2000?
Yeah.
When this is why we went to that early showing of The Phantom Menace, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, because we got out of work, and you were like, I got tickets.
Yeah, something like that. And I stayed up, or I, like, took a little nap or whatever.
Yeah, but that was our normal hours.
Right.
So, like... Yeah, he got out of work. Like he would get out of. I would get out of work. I would go to where he worked and just hang out with him for like an hour and a half, and then he'd get out, and then we'd go and do whatever. We'd go to Denny's in Nashua, and I would chain smoke, and we'd drink coffee, and I'd have the worst breath ever.
Yeah.
And and then I'd get home at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I'd go to bed, and I'd wake up like at 2, and then I think I'd have to be at work at 3:30. And
yeah. Do you ever watch any TV late nights in those days? Those
days, not really, because like I didn't like I had the
more
rabbit
interesting
ears
stuff to
in
do.
my room, but I didn't have cable in my room because I was still living. Well, I was living at home for quite some time after that.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't have cable in my room, so it was just like, and so I never watched TV. I would watch either movies or play video games up until late, and then by the time, like, if I heard my dad getting up, I'd be like, I guess it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, that's a good signal.
But yeah, I used to be the exact opposite of what I am
what
now.
you are now. Yeah,
I love sleeping when it's dark out now.
Right. Well, see, so I was never a night person, and this is all part of my ham-fisted transition there. It almost worked, but
you just brought it up.
I've been drinking, so I brought up the fourth wall. I was feeling self-conscious.
It's okay.
So I never stayed up late enough to watch things like SNL.
I think I did when I was like around the time when it was the cast that I liked.
Yeah. So I saw there's a lot of controversy. So we're recording this on Sunday. Last night, Donald Trump was the guest host on SNL. And there was a lot of back and forth in my Twitter stream about how awful the episode was. And I saw John Golson, who is, among other things, a comic book critic. Or just general pop culture critic. He had this great tweet that now, of course, I cannot find. Oh, yes. SNL Sucks Now has basically been repeated every year since 1980. And then Golson goes on to basically talk about the fact that, everyone has their cast, and then the next cast sucks because it's replaced their cast. And I wanted to know, now that you mentioned it, like, what is your cast?
Well, I think the one that's the best for certain people is the one that's like when you are able to start staying up that late to watch it.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was like around 1991, 92.
Okay.
Because I was in like 6th or 7th grade, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Did I say Chris Farley?
Did you say Chris Farley?
Yeah.
No, you
did I say him twice.
No, you did not say him twice.
Okay. David Spade. Kevin Nealon was the host of Weekend Update at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I love Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Like more as the host of Weekend Update. Like after like the Norm Macdonald years, and like I think Colin Quinn is like fantastic as a stand-up, but I did not think he was great for Weekend Update. After Norm got
that would be Colin Quinn on. I don't know if I ever saw any of those, but that's
he's too much of like he stutters a little bit too much to be a quote unquote news
anchor. Yeah.
So it didn't work.
Yeah.
As much, but like he's really funny, and I think he's one of the most hilarious people on the planet. But for whatever reason, it didn't work for me there. And I think that's around the time where I was like starting to fall off.
Yeah.
So those are the years that I was like, I was watching.
That seemed for me. I mean, I know we've talked often about the fact there's a 2-year age difference, but that seems like a fairly canonical, like fairly good representation of the stuff that I like when I look back on it, but kind of more on the cusp there, because like I have, and I should mention, I'll probably try to throw this in the show notes. There was a great episode of a podcast called The Incomparable where they did their own draft of, they do this from time to time. They drafted their perfect SNL cast. And so they had like 5 or 6 people, and they went around the table and they said, all right, I'm taking so-and-so and I'm taking so-and-so. I'll try to find that episode and put it in the show notes.
Okay.
I don't have, like I said, because I didn't stay up, I don't have a definitive group of people that I like, but I definitely have some people that I don't like. And this week in class, I outed myself as not a David Spade fan, because we were talking about Disney movies, because we're reading this book about Pixar.
And he was in that Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, and I was like, I just can't abide.
Well, that was just a bad movie.
Well, but the students, now see, here's the thing. So they are of a different generation. So a lot of them really stood up to defend Emperor's New Groove. Not necessarily because of David Spade, not even because of John Goodman, but there was some other character in there that they claimed that the movie was really about him. And it's really interesting to see them, because for a lot of them, the Disney's down period is the movies that they all grew up with. So Disney had I'll get back to SNL in a second, but Disney had a like great period from like 1989 to 1994. Yeah, that was the Little
Mermaid till
about The Lion King.
Yeah, after The Lion King. What was after The Lion King?
The Lion King, you've got like Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've never seen those two.
Yeah. And then it starts to get really dicey, including The Emperor's New Groove. And it's basically, they don't have a number one movie from 1994 when The Lion King comes out until 2010, I think, when Tangled comes out. So there's this big, long gap of Disney movies.
That's subtracting Pixar from the equation.
Yeah. So we're talking like Disney feature animation. Anyway, so I outed myself as not a Pixar fan. I'm sorry, not a David Spade fan. And
he was like in movies like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep.
Yeah,
he was a good foil for Farley.
Yeah, and like where do you stand on Adam Sandler films in general?
The first couple I was a big fan, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. Up until probably about The Wedding Singer. Yeah, I was like, this is cute, but then things like Little Nicky, and I didn't like The Waterboy, even though a lot of people do.
Right.
Although if Little Nicky is on, I will watch it for how bad it is, and occasionally I'll just sit and watch a bad Adam Sandler. Well, any of the ones that have been basically, it's just basically saying, I watch a bad movie that it has Adam Sandler in it.
Yeah, bad Adam Sandler film is redundant.
Although, like what was it? Funny People, the Apatow movie. I liked that.
I did like. It
was a little bit long for me.
It's a little bit long. I've only watched it once, but I do remember liking it.
Yeah. So but that isn't a Sandler movie because he has like these Happy Madison productions, and I think if you look it up, I think it was on one of the Half in the Bag episodes that Jay and Mike were talking about how there's like a weird conspiracy with Adam Sandler
we've
movies.
mentioned this. Yeah, no.
So I think it was actually on the Half in the Bag that was Jack and Jill. So check that out. I think they have it on their website, Red Letter Media, or I think their YouTube channel has it on there too.
I see. So in terms of Spade in Sandler movies,
I like Sandler. I liked him on Saturday Night Live because he was like, again, he worked well with Farley, who was just basically, like Hartman and Farley were like fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a combo that I missed out on for whatever reason. I was being a hoity-toity college student.
I like Mike Myers. He was there too, but like Phil Hartman just had this great straight man like delivery, and he was really good in most of the things that he did, and it was like one of the biggest blows to the Simpsons that ever happened was when his wife killed him. Yeah, because they were like, we've just lost like really great characters. Yeah, because Lionel Hutz, Troy McClure.
All the Hartman stuff was gone.
Yeah, and it's not like they could have they didn't want to replace him. Right. And you could tell that the folks at Futurama wrote Zap Brannigan for Hartman. Yeah. Because it just screamed and Billy West, to his credit, did a sort of homage to him because he kind of knew that was who it was for. So he did his best Hartman, I think. Right, his best when he was doing that character. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can pick out individual people, but then I can't from the SNL casts, but I can't imagine, because I didn't watch a ton of SNL, whether I like them because they were great individually, maybe if they were great in movies later on. Like, I like Hartman, but I don't know if that's necessarily because I saw enough of his work on SNL to say that. And I like Eddie Murphy, but how long was he on there? And
he wasn't on for that long, I don't think. Because he got movies and then he was
out of there.
I think that's when Lorne Michaels started having hey, you have to be here for X amount of years if you're going to be a cast member or something like that. And then you get people like Tim Meadows that were there for forever.
Yeah. There was a great, I don't know if it was on VH1 or whatever, I feel like earlier this year I watched it. It was like a 3 or 4 part series that went through the entire history of the show, going from cast to cast until I don't know if it went as far as 2014, but
there was a the early 90s stuff a lot of people really like, and some people like you said will say that this is the worst cast that ever happened,
right? And and who knows? I mean, there's somebody out there right now who this is the cast that they got into it with.
Yeah, and so therefore, but I mean, a lot of people will say that in the mid 80s, Like, I think after Murphy left, it was like Joe Piscopo. And
yeah, well, because there was when
some-
Lorne was gone and Dick Ebersol from NBC. I think Dick Ebersol was mostly an NBC sports guy, but they brought him on, and I think there's a couple years where he's in charge.
Yeah, and then there's just I think when Lovett started was when things started healing.
Yeah.
and then Hartman, and then just like it started building back up in the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s, and then it I don't know after. But there's a lot of people that really like the early 2000s stuff.
Yeah,
there's people that I really like out of those casts, but I didn't really like Saturday Night Live at that time.
Yeah.
Like, I love Tina Fey.
Right.
Will Ferrell's good sometimes.
Yeah, I have a very complicated feeling about Will Ferrell.
Tracy Morgan is just bonkers.
Yes, and if you can point, Tracy Morgan is bonkers because if you can point bonkers in the right direction, then bonkers is awesome.
Which is why it works so well in
30 Rock.
30 Rock, because
Yeah.
it was basically like him playing himself, just
Right.
like a crazy person. That,
And
like,
and
they were
Tina Fey and the showrunners are just like, all right, let's point Tracy in this direction and let it happen.
Like there was times like he was a guest on Opie and Anthony way back in the early 2000s a bunch, and like he went to their like charity softball game with the station once, and he was just like in his underpants, like being like, "Ooh, yo, I want to." Like he said this, they use this line in 30 Rock, but he's like, "I want to take you behind that shed and make a baby" or something like that. And he was actually saying this legitimately to people, and like he was in an accident recently, and he's doing better, and I'm glad. But he is just a crazy person.
Yeah.
He,
And I couldn't name a person that's on the show right now. But I guess that's kind of the point, is that most of them do leave relatively quickly these days, is what it feels like.
It's
By
not,
the time you've heard of them, they're doing their own movies and things.
Yeah, like, well,
unless you regularly watch the show.
Yeah, if you're I mean, like the ones that I've watched recently was when Louis C.K. hosted and when Amy Schumer hosted. I wanted to check because like I like it when comics are on,
right?
Because they have better comedic timing,
than Donald Trump,
Donald Trump or Tom Brady or whomever else,
right? Yeah. Tom Brady and Donald Trump, they're buddies.
They're not buddies.
Hey, Brady had the Make America Great Again cap in his locker a couple weeks ago, didn't he?
Did he?
He had something. It was a big thing. Like everyone was mad at Tom Brady. Like of all the reasons that they needed to be mad at fucking Patriots, they were like, "Your guy supports fucking Donald Trump."
Yeah, like a lot of people apparently do, and like I don't know, like. Have you met any of these people?
I have not met any of these people in particular, although I have had conversations, one with my dad, I think one where my uncle was around, where they were like, I was talking about how horrible it would be to have Donald Trump as president, and I should have known better, but they're like, I don't know, it sounds like he wants to make the country great again. I was like, oh, Jesus.
See, we were having a conversation recently, and I'm like, when was the country, like, great?
Yeah. Oh, apparently, Ronald Wilson Reagan, of course, and then then George W. Bush.
I mean, I don't know if this is getting too personal. You can edit it out if you want.
Okay.
But like, didn't your dad used to work for Digital?
He did work for Digital. I think Digital's out of business, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like, but didn't and there's a lot of people that used to work at what was it where the Crosspoint building is now?
Wang.
They used to work at Wang, and like. At a certain point in the mid 1980s, like freaking unemployment went.
Yep.
And who was president then?
Ronald Wilson Reagan. Oh, and I say his full name because I'm getting prepared to teach Angels in America, which is a play by Tony Kushner, if you're not familiar. And I was watching a clip from the HBO adaptation of it, and they were talking about. Basically conservatism having the White House locked up until the year 2000. It takes place in 1984, about conservatism having the White House locked up until the year 2000, maybe beyond that, and they're all like thrilled about the way things are, and of course the other half of the movie or play is showing how terrible things are for people who are not rich and
so like
and in government, yeah.
What I imagine is like after the New Deal is when things started getting better for the country. At least the working class country.
That's what you would think.
And so that's what I consider to be when America was great.
Right. But
and it was long before I was born.
Here's the thing, and not to get so one of the other things I used to teach was the mini series Roots and its follow up Roots: The Next Generations.
Was that a joke or
nope? No, it's not a joke. It actually was.
Was he wearing the little visor?
He was not. No, LeVar Burton is not in Roots: The Next Generations.
I didn't. I thought you just made a joke. No. You could have just said.
I should have. Although apparently LeVar Burton is one of the executive producers on a remake they're doing of Roots right now. Okay. At any rate, so there's Roots and there's Roots: Next Generations, and I'm trying to make this as short as possible. But one of the things that was really interesting about that series was the way in which you'd have these young black men being very, very liberal, very progressive, very sort of trying to change the world. And then with every single one of them, especially in the Next Generation series, which takes place from during Reconstruction up through the 70s, every time one of them started to get gray and get old, they became super conservative and very much against all of the it's like they were portrayed as being happy with the way things were, and that we don't need to push any further. And it happened with every character, no matter how progressive they were as a young man, they became a crotchety old man. And so yes, while our parents may have recognized that Reagan wasn't great when they were actually living under Reagan, now they have a certain nostalgia for the way things were under or they just don't want things to progress, because progression means they're getting that much closer to dead, and they don't want
they're going to be obsolete.
They're going to be obsolete. I mean, my dad's turning 60 this week, so it's not a surprise to me that he's sort of become a little bit more conservative.
Well, my parents were always conservative. Well, my dad was always.
He was probably always conservative,
But yeah, I mean, I actually did a heel turn, because I kind of was like, when I was younger, I kind of was like, oh, what my dad's saying, it makes sense. And then I went off to college, and then I was
Same
like,
here.
I don't know, I'm like, I need to make some more informed decisions, and then I eventually ended not liberal heart, but
but somewhere in the middle.
I'm left of center.
Yeah. Anyway. Who knows where Tom Brady is, right?
He's probably at Foxborough right now.
He's probably at Foxborough in about 7 minutes. He's going to start playing football. But Steve, we got some email.
Did I do my email first because you just brought it up?
We do. Well, yeah, you can do yours. I mean, if we want to do it chronologically, I've got one, you've got one in the middle, and then we got one thing at the end. But let's have you go first.
Okay, so we have been doing a bit called "How Did the Patriots Cheat This Week?"
Yes.
Now, I think the world, I don't know what it is about the Patriots that's really bugging everybody,
that they win.
Because all right, so I am a Red Sox fan.
Yes.
And
I'm
not a big fan of the New York Yankees. But you don't see me going through tape and saying, oh, the New York Yankees cheated in, World Series victory number 15 or 17 or whatever else.
Yeah, we don't hate the Yankees because they cheat. We hate them because we think they're assholes and because they win.
We hate them because they win and because they're better, and you hate people that are better. I understand that. But to go and say that this team that wins a lot is cheating constantly, right, is just, and I'm like, you are freaking grasping at straws. I'm sorry, they're not either everybody's doing it or nobody's doing it. And basically the things that the Patriots have been accused of, I'm sure at least 50% of every other NFL team has done.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Either overinflated, underinflated balls, or videotaped tried to get some videotape of other teams' practice to try to get a little bit of a slight edge. I think every team has done this, and it's just because the Patriots are under the microscope. Yeah, because a majority of the Yankees' victories in the World Series were prior to the year 2000. They've won one since the year 2000. And so there hasn't been that scrutiny because of 24-hour cable sports news. And so with like ESPN having 8, I think they joked about it on that dodgeball movie with being like ESPN 8 the Ocho, but I think there may be 8 ESPNs at this point. And there's just Fox Sports Net. There's like a bunch of just cable, and then there's sports. Like the only talk stations on the radio that still exist are sports talk or sports or like conservative.
Sports with occasional conservative radio.
It's just and that always baffled me that like radio guys, especially guys that were working in one market, would be conservative because they don't make a fucking lot of money.
No,
then they're basically getting fucked over. They're getting fucked over by the giant corporation, either be CBS or Clear Channel.
But they imagine that it's the liberal media and the and liberal policies giving all the money away to all the other folks who aren't them.
Yes. So, I don't know where I was going, but enough with this fucking. I mean, we're gonna play up the bit because it's fun,
right?
But then, like, this story
came out, and this
this past week, and of course, like, I think the moment it hit, like, we got several hits on our Twitter and several hits like on the email.
Yes,
I'm like, people haven't been emailing in a while, but they heard this and they're like, we didn't tell them about it. I'm like, I had already seen it. I already seen it on like Yahoo News or whatever, and I'm like, we're gonna get emails about this, because I'm like, all right, so Matt, are one of our good friends and friends of the show, and not so frequent emailer anymore, because no one's a frequent emailer anymore. Right. Basically sent us an email that said how the Patriots cheat this week, and this is the attached article. The NFL is so paranoid about the Patriots, people are questioning their coin flip wins. Bill Belichick has gained telekinetic powers and is using those powers to influence coin flips. Or at least that's what it seems like. The Patriots have become so good this year, and the rest of the NFL and its fans are so concerned that they're cheating that they now have reports coming out questioning if the Patriots are winning coin flips too much. And then it says, seriously?
Seriously, he's a mutant. Or an inhuman if he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
CBS Sports post with the headline, Patriots have no need for probability, win coin flip at impossible clip, ran this week, noting that the Patriots have won the coin toss. I managed to say that correctly because I wanted to say toin toss.
Toin toss.
19 of the last 25 times. The writer points out this is a probability of 0.0073 or less than 0.75%. Ooh. If you're asking here why the headline says the Patriots are winning the coin flip at an impossible clip, well, it's quite clearly possible and literally spelled out as merely improbable in the post. Well, that's a good question to ask. Anyway, Bill Belichick is a monster who somehow has figured out how to control coins with his evil brain waves and using that to win coin flips and defer on the initial kickoff. He's a boogeyman, he's a ghost, he's a monster. He comes in, changes the coin's trajectory in midair, and like that, he's gone.
Well, Steve, if the Washington Redskins lose today, they have a form to file out, and they believe it's the coin toss. I think they got something here.
No, but like, hold on, like before you get into this,
all right,
like how exactly, like this one's like saying he's like
he's got telekinetic powers.
Yeah, but how exactly would the Patriots cheat at the coin toss? Are they doing a little?
I don't think the range on most people's telekinetic powers is far enough. Belichick's not out there.
He's not a fucking X-Man.
It's got to be one of the captains. I mean, it's got to be one of the captains that's out there that has the powers.
No, but like, not that. No, seriously, for a second, Chris.
All right, sorry.
Like,
you tell me the X-Men aren't serious?
They are serious.
Okay,
seriously.
All right, we were going to
fictional characters.
We were going to get into it.
They are serious fictional characters that are not real people. Sorry, people that have boners for Jean Grey. I think that like what would they have actually done? Would they done a little sleight of hand, like, switch the coins with the ref? The ref is the one who flips the freaking coin.
Yeah.
Unless they paid off the ref, which is a
Maybe
bigger
Force,
problem.
Steve. Maybe it's not that they're X-Men. They know the Force.
Or
you remember Qui-Gon Jinn like waves his hand and
yeah. Qui-Gon Jinn. Stop it.
Okay.
What do they have? Like an powerful electromagnet in their belt?
That makes the jockstrap, I think.
Oh, yeah. Just right next to the nuts.
Yes.
Wouldn't that make them sterile?
Some of them should be sterilized, probably. There's that Hardy guy who beats his women.
Is he on the Patriots?
No, he's not. He's on another team, which means he gets away with beating women.
No, well, not necessarily. Well, the thing is, like right before Deflate Gate. Enough with Gate, please, everyone. Again,
coin flip Gate.
Oh no. If they do it, I will swear I will break the internet by tearing every tube and wire from every computer that exists.
Gonna rip out all the.
I will literally break the internet.
Steve's gonna tear out the Ethernet, rip up the coax.
Yes, I'm going to start shooting at the sky where the cloud is.
The cloud. I don't know. I don't know how they would possibly be manipulating these things, but I do know that there is.
How about this? They might be just lucky.
They might just be lucky. But in the case that they aren't, the National Football League has issued a post-loss complaint form. Not really, but this is hilarious. So instruction. This form is intended to streamline the process of complaints and grievances following a loss to the New England Patriots. Please fill out and submit this form to the league office no later than 48 hours after a loss to the Patriots.
Jim Irsay was the one who authored this form, probably.
The NFL promises all investigations will be assigned to an independent NFL-employed attorney and complete... Independent NFL attorney
laugh
and
at the joke while
completed
you're reading it.
within a few days. So then the form goes on to do what forms do. So we've got insert date, city name, team name, the team names lost to the Patriots can be attributed wholly and solely to the following unsportsmanlike and unfair practices by the New England Patriots. There are 10 of them. I don't know if we have time to read all of them. Would you like to pick a number from 1 to 10?
No, just read them all, like
right.
a David Letterman top 10 list.
In reverse, then? Or am I going...
Just do it 1 to 10.
All right, number 1, unfair following of the rules. List the rules that were followed unfairly.
Hold on. No. Do it like Letterman.
Maybe you should do this.
No.
Except that was terrible.
Don't do it like Letterman. Just read them.
Number 2, excessive use of the forward pass. List the number of completions. Number 3, failure to notify defense of an uncovered running back /tight end /receiver. Circle all that apply. Number 4, illegal sideline exhalation during field goal or extra point attempts. List number of field goals and or extra points missed due to sideline breathing. Number 5, unfair application of the ideal gas law or other laws of physics. Please list the specific natural laws the Patriots may have unfairly benefited from. Number 6, use of Belichick's psychic powers or mind reading to hack or infiltrate any of the following. Circle all that apply. Team huddles, practices, walkthroughs, airplanes, hotels, locker rooms, restrooms, outhouses, server rooms, offices, personal homes or vehicles, safety deposit boxes, vaults, banks, other institutions. Please explain. Number 7, over-gronking. Number 8, general awareness.
I did an eye roll on the over-gronking.
Number 9, use of a snowplow. Check if you are aware of snowplow use by the Patriots in the past 35 years. Number 10, Spygate, checked by default. And in fact, it is checked by default. So Spygate is checked for you, Jim Irsay, so you don't even have to do it yourself.
We have one more email.
Well,
the Patriots
probably to do with.
I really hope that they lose the coin toss today. I guess
well, it's 104. They've either lost it or not at this point.
So let's hope that they lost it just to make the records slightly less in our favor.
Except that then they will have cheated by not doing it this week just to show that they don't cheat.
But they probably will. He'll probably use his mind control powers and get the person that won the coin toss to do exactly.
He'll bring in Doctor Strange to wipe out everyone's memories of the fact that they won the coin toss and that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Oh.
An actual thing that happened in the comic books.
Thanks, Doctor Strange.
This email, which has nothing to do with the Patriots, has a subject line. Subject line?
Subject line. How much of that have you had?
I've had almost all of it.
Good.
Subject line of Billy Corgan, and it comes to us from our friend Brian.
Finally.
Hey guys. Sorry I haven't written in a while. I was actually in the process of acquiring a new job, as opposed to fake acquiring a new job to make fun of Leo.
I like that he just... I like how he uses his emails to just bust Leo's chops. And I want Leo to write it and I like the little war that they occasionally have.
We'll exchange.
So maybe this will prompt Leo to email us again.
And that took all my time and energy. So, I do have strong feelings about Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins, and those are mostly feelings of hate. In middle school, the Pumpkins were my favorite band, and I even got to see them in Portland, Maine during the fall of my 8th grade year.
Speaking of which, I have a pumpkin right over there.
We're going to smash it?
No. We had it since before Becky left, and it's still intact. It's doing pretty good.
Don't let Billy Corgan near it. It was my first big-time concert. Flash forward 18 years and a lot of growing up, and I mostly now hate Billy Corgan and think the majority of the Smashing Pumpkins catalog is garbage. Even though my junior high self would barf as I make this statement, the Pumpkins can really be listened to in terms of singles. I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine about the Pumpkins catalog. Keep in mind, as I write this, that I hadn't listened to them in maybe 8 to 10 years, in which I posited that Siamese Dream was their tightest album in terms of construction and coherence.
It was tight, yo.
Then I listened to the album, and by listen to the album, I mean suffered through about half of each song and turned it off halfway through. That album is a mess. It has 3 or 4 tolerable songs with a lot of filler garbage in between. I can't imagine trying to slog through double album like Melancholy. I did. It was horrible. Be glad that you didn't. 30 Smashing Pumpkins songs is cruel and unusual punishment. So, the reason I've grown to hate the Pumpkins, beyond the fact that I don't think their music has held up over the years, is Billy Corgan himself. Beyond his actions these days, I'm specifically referring to his 8-hour ambient music piece inspired by Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, or the 8-minute kazoo rap song, or not playing any of your hits at your concerts and then yelling at the audience for wanting to hear your hits. I have to pause there to say anything inspired by Hermann Hesse is absolute crap.
So basically, to interrupt for a second, I've gone to see bands, there's I went to the Dead Milkmen show, right, and they played a couple of new songs that I wasn't quite aware of.
Yeah. And
I was just like, this is fine. But then they go and play, right after that, they'll play a song that everybody knows and likes, and they're just like, oh, we're back into it. And there might be a lot of people that like that new song, right, but the chance of, people that stumbled upon the fact that they were playing would probably be more likely to know their older stuff,
right? And of course, it's their, if they're a band that is touring behind an album, it's their job to play some of the songs from the new album to get you to go out and buy the new album.
Be like, what was that song? That sounded pretty cool, right, or whatever. Let's get the new album.
But their job is not to, their job is also not to alienate you in the process, and just play the new stuff and say the hell with you for liking anything we did before right now. I mean, that was part of what made, and my dad and I still talk about this to this day, it's part of what made the David Bowie 9 Inch Nails concert that we went to so terrible, was that Bowie, aside from the fact that pairing is just odd, that Bowie played none of his hits with the exception of The Man Who Sold the World, which was popular at the time because Nirvana had covered it. And that was pretty much it. He played nothing else that anybody recognized. And if he did play something, it was in a weird, I'm trying to be 9 Inch Nails or Marilyn Manson kind of arrangement.
All right, back to the email.
If you look at him in retrospect, this is Corgan, he's an insufferable twit who wants to be the mega rock star of the world, but who has been jealous of Kurt Cobain for the past 20-odd years. In the early days of grunge, he complained that his music wasn't as appreciated as much as it should be. He threatened to leave Lollapalooza if Pavement was on the tour because Stephen Malkmus mentioned the Pumpkins in a song of his. He broke up the Smashing Pumpkins, which he was the sole lyricist and musician of, to follow a less than successful solo career, only to, quote, reform, unquote, the Pumpkins by taking out a full-page ad in a Chicago newspaper saying that he wanted his band back. Then, when the band was reformed, he didn't include anyone but the drummer. What I'm trying to say is that Billy Corgan is the worst. This all ties back to a few weeks ago when Chris was a grumpy old man complaining about how people don't listen to albums anymore. Have you listened to albums from the 90s? Yes, I have. And I got to pause here for a second. I didn't remember where this paragraph was. If this was in this email, I'm glad that it was in this email, because for a second I was like, oh, where's that paragraph about 90s albums sucking? Because it's true.
Well, I want to. There was something that I was listening to Bill Burr's podcast this past weekend. He was talking about performing at a benefit concert thing, and they had him do some stand up, and there was also a bunch of musicians. So he didn't do poorly, which is good on him, because
right.
like performing stand up before a music show is fucking.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I've done it.
Oh, really?
Because I've done music open mics.
Okay, yeah.
And said them like, can I also do comedy? And I didn't realize, because I was early doing it, and I didn't realize that this was the worst possible fucking audience you could have. Is people expecting to hear music and then having to sit and just quietly listen to you.
Yep.
Try to be funny.
Yeah, it's the same thing as people going to a Pumpkins concert and expecting to hear Disarm and Mayonnaise and getting nothing but whatever schlock Billy is putting out under that label.
No, but one of the guys that was there at the benefit was Mark McGrath.
Oh, okay. Who Smash Mouth. No, not Smash Mouth. It was Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray, yes.
Yeah.
He has a new career in hosting shows and whatever. And so, but he was on stage like saying whatever.
Yeah.
And he did this really funny thing where he's like, what was that you said, sir? And like to no one in particular. And he's like, aren't you that guy that had that hit in 1997? That is right. You know what? I'll play it for you right now. And then he did I Want to Fly or whatever.
Yeah.
And, he, like that sort of tongue-in-cheek thing.
Right.
Like, he may have been a one-hit wonder and he's aware of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like that.
But he has a sense of humor about it.
Yes. And he has a sense of humor about it. Like, so that, like, as much as I don't want to listen to Sugar Ray like ever.
Right.
I like that he did that.
Like that he
and
did
I that, if I was at that concert, I wouldn't have been like upset about it, and I wouldn't have been like, well, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm getting a beer now.
So anyway, back to Brian's email. This all ties back to a few weeks ago when Chris was a grumpy old man complaining about how people don't listen to albums anymore. Have you listened to the albums from the 90s? Most big hit albums are a few singles with a bunch of junk filler, especially albums from the 90s. Hashtag not all 90s albums. Seriously, try and listen to any alternative album from the 90s and see how far you get through it. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, singles are and have always been the music business. Anyway, keep up the good work. I would generally agree with that. I like that he did include the hashtag not all 90s albums, because I, as a Nine Inch Nails fan, would argue that the Downward Spiral is a good album. Although even as a Nine Inch Nails fan, I can say there are some tracks on there that I'm like, eh.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm a Uber Ween fan, and like most of their album, except for their last album.
Yeah.
I was just like, I really like all these albums, and there's always one song on either any of the albums that I'm just kind of like, either I don't like it enough to listen to it more than the amount of times I've already listened to it, or I really don't. I despise it.
Yeah.
Like they're like Pure Guava is my favorite Ween album, and it also has my least favorite Ween song on it.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bother downloading it onto iTunes when I uploaded the album, I didn't bother uploading that particular song
that
onto
particular song,
just so I didn't even want to have it accidentally played.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's Morning Glory, if you're wondering.
Brian makes a very good point, which is that the idea of the album has kind of been romanticized over the years, especially by people being grumpy old men.
The thing is, back, like people that are grumpier and older men than we are, actually had the benefit of albums that you could listen to from start to finish that were really great.
Yeah, but they are, in all honesty, they are the exception rather than the rule. Because even those albums, even if they might have come out with greater frequency, there were still a lot of albums from the 60s, from the 70s that were not great. I mean, Rumors is a fantastic Fleetwood Mac album. Hey,
I don't like Fleetwood Mac.
If you don't like Fleetwood Mac, you're not going to like it. But
Yeah,
Rumors is a fantastic album if you like Fleetwood Mac, but there's still a couple of songs, especially near the end, that are crap.
But like, you know, like as far, but like things like Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lemon on that album.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there are some of them on there that I don't like as much as others, but if I'm going to listen to Appetite,
if you're going to like
I'll
have that
listen to the
album
whole
on, you're
thing.
not going to be like, I don't know if I want to listen to Mr. Brownstone.
There was a Joe Hill. I don't want to link all of these damn tweets. I should just link his Twitter. He was going off. We talked about Joe Hill last week too. I guess I like Joe Hill. He was going off about who were the quintessential bands of various decades, and he was having a debate about that, and who was the quintessential band of the 80s, rock band of the 80s.
Yeah, GNR, right?
He was less sold on that because it was only one album, and then they had 87, which was Appetite for Destruction, and then the Use Your Illusion didn't come out until the 90s.
Yeah.
I think what he was trying to make the case that there wasn't a quintessential rock band of the 80s, and I think people finally brought him around to saying that U2 was the quintessential rock band of the 80s.
That's another band I don't really like.
Yeah. And he went back and forth about quintessential bands of the 90s and how most people think it's Nirvana, but he thinks it's Oasis, at which point I wanted to punch him. But
they're bigger than the Beatles.
You can find the show notes for this episode at clarkwoods.com/hot/67.
Oh yeah, and like for our bit, like they didn't cheat at the coin toss. We're
gonna throw the bit in here anyway.
They what they did this week was not have a team name that was racially insensitive.
The Patriots is racially insensitive to all of the British people who have come over since we whooped the Brits' ass in 1776.
Language. Whatever the show notes or whatever
show notes for the episode are at clarkwoods.com/hot/67. If you want to send us email like a lot of fine folks did this week, you can send it to hot@clarkwoods.com. And of course, if you want to send us tweets, which also happened this week, I don't know if I mentioned that Becky was the one to send us the post-loss complaint form.
Well, it's good that you did.
I gotta give
shoehorn that.
I gotta give credit where credit is due.
So when she comes home, she could be like, "Oh, you guys appreciate me."
Yes. If you want to tweet at us, you can tweet me at ECC1977.
And you can tweet me at Tuesday is loser. That's Tuesday. IS loser. All one word.
All one word.
Smushed together.
Jam it on in there like your dick into a baseball. And if you hadn't groaned right there, I suppose I could have just.
You could have ended the show, but I
could have just ended the show. So now we search for a couple of seconds to find some way to end it. You say something funny.
All right. I'm gonna shit in my hand and throw it at your face.